you.
Thank you very much. And next on our presentations, we have District Security Safety Team. And Anna?
Yes. Thank you, President Rubio. Today we have Tom Woodland, our Emergency Preparedness and Safety Coordinator. He will be providing us with a presentation. But before I turn it over to him, I'd like you to be aware that this is a working plan. It's a draft. And this plan has been reviewed with our admin over safety at the school sites. We have one administrator that is strictly in charge of safety at the school sites. It has also been reviewed with our leadership council, which means that those are all our principals and our directors at the school sites. And we have reviewed it with our safety task force. So this year we created a safety task force, and it includes, for example, Katie Basso, our president of SVFT. We have Lucy Vega, we have probation, and so on. So it's really an extended safety task force. And we met with CSEA leadership last week, and we're currently in the process of reviewing and revising really the job descriptions that are in front of you today, right? Yes, we talked about a few things. For example, do the dashes mean and or do they mean or? So those revisions are starting to take place now. And I know that Ms. Alma Pio Garcia, she has a meeting with the Parent Advisory Committee on April 3rd, and this information will also be reviewed with them as well. So we're trying to reach as many educational partners as we feel that is needed, and I do appreciate the voice and the parents, our educational partners being here today to express their concerns. I appreciate that, and I'm looking forward to collaborating with them as well. And so for today, this information is being brought to you as a board. Please, be open as far as any concerns, any changes. If you need additional information, we will bring that forward. But there's a proposed working plan, and this is really a community district plan, right? We want to make sure that it works well for all. And one of the other things that I want to make you aware is currently the structure that we have at the school sites is we have 2 campus security officers at all the high schools and 1 at the middles. And we have multiple security campus supervisors at the school sites, and a lot of those positions are part-time positions. We also have our COVID monitors, and part of their assignment is also to help us with supervision at the school sites. So this plan in front of you today is really to structure and to bring that plan together so that we can enhance our security teams that we currently have at the school sites. And one of the things that we've been doing, because we do have some vacancies at multiple schools, is we have been hiring outside security firms to provide security officers to our school sites so that we can help with campus supervision, because we all know how important that is. So with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Woodland.
Hi, I like being on the hot seat. Here we go. All right, so I do appreciate the community's concerns, and hopefully I can address some of this tonight so that you guys feel a little more comfortable as we move through our collaboration together. All right, so this is the mission, purpose, job descriptions, duties, scheduling, reporting processes, training, continuing education, obviously the questions. So our campus security safety team will provide all the necessary resources within their scope to ensure a safe campus and extracurricular activities that happen on SUHSD campuses. Now, mind you, we all know what happened yesterday, and I do want to say that during their investigation to this point, the individual perpetrator had a couple different choices of campuses, and that person did not choose a particular campus because there was too many security at that campus, so they went to the path of least resistance. This is why this is very important to understand that we need to protect our students on the campuses to make sure that we get a deterrence away from anybody who wants to do bad things to our district. Our purpose is providing the district an in-house team of trained and dedicated professionals securing our campus, and our security safety team can go from campus to campus with the same consistent training across the district. And I want to make that clear that it's going to be consistent training. Every person that will be trained in this program will have all the same training. So if they go from Alisal to La Paz to Salinas High School, every person in the program will be trained the same. Now I want to stress that, as Anna had mentioned, we are working on these job descriptions. They're in the hands of everybody that needs to have their hands on them, and they're going to be working with these to collaborate them to make them fit. So just wanted to Everybody has these job descriptions, so I'll just say that one of them will be a EP, school safety supervisor, that will oversee the operation, and they will be under me, so that when I'm off-site or something happens, that they can take the role of me if I am not around. The campuses will have 2 supervisors. They'll have a lead at one end of the schedule and an assistant lead at the other end of the schedule. The goal is to make sure that we always have supervision over the other security safety team during the time that they're on the campus, that they can give guidance for and to. And the assistant lead, and then the security safety officer. Now, when these drafts were done, I just want to let you know that we wanted to incorporate everybody that works in the district that can follow this pattern, so that it was a broad spectrum. So if we have our COVID monitors, they've been doing this not only as a COVID monitor, but as a campus supervisor. We're able to bring them into the mix. Same thing with the campus security officer and the campus supervisor. So that's why when we said the number 3 role there, or number 3 on this slide, it's because we wanted to make sure we can bring everybody there together and they can all be trained the same. So the duties here: fire safety, life safety, first aid, CPR, rescue operations. That means getting students inside classrooms if there is an active shooter, as an example, so that they know how to get these students inside. Basic security operations. They will help in my emergency operations in case we have a big issue on one campus or multiple campuses, and they'll help with sporting event security as well. So this is the scheduling. So what we did was we went back to the Leadership Council and we said, I had a previous schedule that was set up. Essentially what ended up happening was they said, could you adjust the times to have the most amount of people at one time? I said, yeah, that's probably a good idea. So trying to meet the standard, as well as making sure that we break people for lunches accordingly and their breaks accordingly. So this is the makeup of what I would like to see on this scheduling process. So again, I know that some will see, like at the high schools as an example, at 6 o'clock in the morning. The reason why is we have food service workers that come in at 6 a.m. We know that either the plant foreman or the lead custodian open up the campus. However, once they open up the campus, they're off doing whatever they need to do for the day. These 2 first security team personnel will be able to go in and scan the campus, make sure there were no broken windows, open doors during the night, anything like that. So we want to make sure that the campus is ready to go when students start to arrive, and staff. And then at the end of the night, of course, those same last 2 officers are going to be able to sweep the campus, make sure that everything is locked up, ready to go, so that they can leave accordingly with a secure campus. So the reporting process will have the school site supervision, AP of safety, so those will be all our assistant principals. We'll have a hand in the collaboration with the top 4 of our team to ensure that we are covering the campuses appropriately. And if there are obviously any issues of concern, they can come to one of the leads to assist in that process to correct. So this is their training. Essentially, they're going to be doing a lot of training. But I do want to point out to you about 4 from the bottom there: diversity and cultural considerations, and critical incident stress management. The team will be in training for this stuff. We will be doing a lot of training on this because we understand that we need to have cultural considerations for our community, and we also need to recognize that students may be under some type of a stress situation, whether it be at home, at school, or otherwise. So we want our security safety team to be able to see that, recognize it, because quite honestly, students do come to your campus supervisors and campus security, and they will talk to them. So that's important to be able to have that resource available to them so that they can then pass off to the person that can help with that situation. So we will have resources available for our security safety team to be able to resource to the next person and get that student the help that they want and need. So I wanted you guys to all be aware of that in this process. There will be extensive training in that. And then, of course, they'll go through the continuing education process in this. And I want to finally say, this is not a police force. They will not be armed. I want you to understand that the process that we're trying to put into place is to keep all of our students and staff safe. I go home every single night thinking about your students and about the safety. I want you to understand that I do not want anything to happen to anybody on our campuses. And this is why this is the best course of action, to be a deterrent and to help students on campus get through the day without looking over their shoulder every 5 minutes trying to figure out who's going to get them next. And so I'm really can impress that we want to make sure that our students are safe each and every day with our staff. So with that, I'm done. Any questions from the board?
Got it.
Thank you. First, I want to thank you for your time and effort in putting something like this together. I want to thank you, Anna, for assuring that all stakeholders are participating. As we heard, there's still some concerns, so there's still some pieces that need to be addressed with the community, possibly with staff. But without that being said, myself, I have had concerns for many years of having to contract out services, for example, for high school graduations. Is this something that will now be alleviated because of this new team?
Yes, ma'am.
And schedule.
Not to be disrespectful, but like for board meetings, we won't have to contract out either?
We will have that discussion, but I think we could probably eliminate that as well. We can have some people on EWAs, et cetera, possibly.
Also, I just wanted to share that I also had questions in regards to, or questions, concerns when you referred to military. I know you said preferred, but when you see that word first, it just kind of, it just made me a little hesitant when I seen the presentation the first time around.
Sure.
So I don't know, maybe now that you're going to be looking at and talking to other staff, maybe the wording could be changed a little bit and how that's presented.
Sure.
And also, I also have an interest of finding out, I think that by your presentation, I think it was very well detailed, but I also would like to know what type of discipline, I know that was asked earlier, but I also am curious to know. So currently, right now, our campus supervisors are trained to actually try to deflate the situation, escort, to prevent anybody from getting hurt. Is that still in the terms of something that the team will be participating in?
De-escalation
The
education.
de-escalation? Okay.
There's a reference to, on one of the slides, to providing discipline. However, they are not going to be certified to provide discipline. That's an administrative role.
Correct.
Their role is to turn that over to administration.
And I think and that's important to know, and also as one of them, or her, one of them, is escorting the student to and from, if they're in a situation, they have to be escorted to an office or whatever, there's conversation that takes place. And so I'm really happy to know that you're going to be providing that type of training, critical incident stress management, diversity, culture considerations, but really mean that. I mean, it's really good for us to see you're gonna provide it, but I really would like to see what training that you're going to give, what type of presentation. So if you could just share a little bit of that in the future, what you're gonna be providing for them, it would be good for me to see.
Absolutely. Absolutely,
appreciate that.
100%.
Thank you.
Full transparency.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
You have any questions on this?
Tom, communications, will they have radios?
Yes, sir. So we will be purchasing additional radios for the campuses and make sure that each campus is connected to those radio systems.
So if one staff member goes to for a special event, they'll have the same radio, same comm plan?
Correct. Everything will be consistent across the district.
Okay, is that the case now?
No, so right now, each campus has their own radio channels at this point, and then we have our district-wide emergency operations radio that we can talk to each campus. So our goal is to have those radios programmed to have the main channel on each campus so that they'll have
Okay,
communications.
good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So the question I have, as of our current state in each school, there's some variations when you walk in.
Sure.
So at a certain school, you have a campus supervisor right there checking in, putting your name, who's the visitor,
Sure.
what your purpose is, and then at other schools, you can just walk in. And I know that shouldn't be the case. I don't know, what's the standard right now? Or what's the protocol that we have in place for each school? Is it,
So, to answer your question, everybody is supposed to sign in, and there should be somebody there to help them sign in. And of course, as we know, that we are short-staffed in some of our campuses, so either there's so for example, at the middle school campuses, there may be a secretary that sees those people come in and make sure that they do the sign-in process, but it's not always a guarantee, unfortunately, because everybody's moving around. So in lieu of that, once we do this new team, there will be post positions where somebody will be there at all times, like at the front of the school. You'll have one at certain gates to make sure that students can move through or not move through, and then open those gates in case of an emergency, et cetera. And then we'll have additional security, safety team patrolling certain areas, like if they're at the 800 wings, they'll be moving around that particular area the entire time. So there'll be assigned posts for those positions.
I guess, let me clarify. So the systems are pretty similar. I'll just use LaSalle High School as
Okay.
an example. When you walk in, before you walk in, they have the desk right outside with the security. LaSalle, they have the security there in the front, but the sign-in sheet is inside the office.
Sure.
So there's some inconsistency, or how can you determine if you're there pleasantly or if you're there, to do something
Yeah, and
that's not pleasant?
Right, yeah, absolutely, yeah, and we're trying to solve those minor issues. For now, we've been good to this point, so our goal is to move those things outside, outside initially, so that people don't go in, like you said, with bad intentions.
Right.
So, we'll continue to work on those things, throughout the remainder of the school year to make sure things are safe.
And one of the other things that we've been doing with Tom is we're looking at electronic systems for check-in, meaning that if we have a guest that checks in, they would check in, we can go ahead and we can give them a tag, and then that person would be traced throughout the campus, right? I mean, they have so many different systems that we're looking at right now, or say, for example, as an employee, I would have my employee ID card, and when I get there, I would check in, and it would the system would actually track when I arrived and when I left the campus. So there are so many different systems out there that we've been looking at, and I think that's gonna be really important, when we streamline this process. That's really gonna help us with that.
Got it. And then I have another question or comment in regards to safety.
Sure.
When you're walking into front of the schools, does every school in our district have ADA codes for ramps for any handicap or wheelchair accessible when you come in, or do you have to go look for the entrance where you can get in? And then, well, let me give you an example. So LaSalle, they have a ramp that you can get in, I believe, through the cafeteria side, if I'm.
Again, in the wellness center.
And
would
then
be the
in
one
the
on right.
wellness center, which currently has a key or someone has to be there to open.
Sure.
But when you're going to a public place and you look for the entrance, you would assume that there would be some kind of wheelchair accessible
Sure.
access without looking for it. So that would be a concern of mine during any emergency. And also, I'm not familiar with the other schools that I haven't looked at that, but at LaSalle High, there is a ramp, wheelchair accessible. However, I believe it's the Thousands, the newer building that's up front. There's an exit, but there's steps.
Sure.
So if they're trapped in that building, there's no wheelchair accessible exit.
Okay,
And I know Anna had shared with me at Salinas High, they have a two-story. So there's these boats, sort of.
Sleds.
Sleds that they would go down. But those would be, my concerns would be the emergency exits.
sure.
When we have an emergency, whether it be fire, earthquake, any emergency needing to be evacuated.
So, Anna, you could fill me in a little bit on some of the ADA stuff that the district's been
Yeah.
doing.
And yes, and what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll look at it with Edgar, our facilities, Director of General Services, so that we can go ahead and address that. Right, and then we'll come back and we'll report at a facilities update, if that's okay, so that we can go ahead and bring more information in regards to that.
Yeah, just wanted to mention those.
Definitely.
And our team will also have, contingency plans to be able to get those who have access and functional needs out of the buildings as soon as possible. So we'll dedicate teams to those situations as well, kind of our rescue operations, if you will.
Yes,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Yes,
That's-
yes, sir.
No. You have anything
I'm
else?
good.
You sure? No, if you think of something, I'm gonna ask some questions.
Okay.
So I just had a question about this. Have you met with any of the people that you see here?
No, I have not.
Okay.
No.
I would urge that, just a quick meeting.
This is just to present to you a concept right now, right? So in that process, yes, there'll be stakeholder engagement.
Yes.
I think one of the misconceptions, and I appreciated you, I think maybe Trustee Padilla-Salzberg mentioned it, we're not creating our own police force.
That's correct.
So one of the thoughts might be to change some of the job descriptions to remove the word officer.
And I heard him say that.
Yeah.
I heard him say that, I was gonna ask you, that's
Yeah.
on my list right here.
Because
I was gonna ask you
that
about
might soften that up
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
But the plan really is to look at the folks that we have and to add positions, extend hours, train them up, put more professionalism into the role of security so that we don't have, like Trustee Padilla-Salzberg indicated, have to go out and hire
Which is a
private
good point,
security.
because I was gonna ask both of you right now, as far as the staffing is concerned, what happens to the people that are there occupying the jobs now? And then what happens when if this plan is in fact implemented, what happens then?
Yep.
Yeah, and I can definitely answer that. So
Yeah.
we had a conversation with CSCA last week, and our goal is to keep the employees that are currently working with the district in those positions, COVID monitors, campus security officers, campus supervisors, and then provide the training so that they can fill these positions, right? So we're working with the staff that we already have to create a plan, or to create this plan.
And do we have on the staffing, that I saw that the hours there, do we have the coverage there? Even somebody calls in sick? I mean, if it's pretty tight, then are we gonna lose somebody at a school to float them over?
It's a great question. So,
His or her over?
yes. So, these employees will be district employees. Normally, we hire site employees, right? So when we hire, for example, a security officer, it'll be a security officer at Alisa High School. These are going to be, say, for example, if we kept it security officer, Salinas Union High School District, right? So what will happen is if we have a lot of absences at one school site, but then we have everybody present at the other, we can go ahead and we can pull, right, to ensure that our sites are adequately staffed for the day. So we'll be able, it'll give us that flexibility to be able to do that,
Because I know he made the
for
point,
special events.
he's gonna have some posts that, I imagine that's somebody was there permanently. And I've been to all the schools, and I know the challenges each one has, just because of their front door entrance.
Absolutely.
You know, and some mindset's gonna have to be changed. But you know what, I heard everybody's concerns here, all of you here, and, you know, I know you guys have to be more engaged with Tom here, but, I just wanna stress to you that, I'm of the same opinion. You know, this thing that happened yesterday, oh my God, you know, I don't wish anything like that remotely with any of our kids at school at all. And I think the saying that, I think if I get it right, it's failure to prepare is preparing to fail, right? If you don't have a plan. And yes, I have gone to some of the schools, and sometimes there's nobody there. And it can be problematic. Thank God nothing like this has happened, and I hope it never does. But yeah, we just have to be careful. And I think all of your concerns there, if you talk to Tom and the staff here, will be addressed. I really believe that. I have a lot of confidence that that'll happen. And, you know, and I hope the staffing is there, you know, we need the staffing. So, that's all I have to say. Do any of you have any more questions? Can I have the last word here? Anything?
I just want to say, I did attend the Zoom meeting LaSalle High had for their comprehensive safety plan.
Sure.
And there was a lot of parents involved in that conversation, and they were valid comments and concerns. So I just, I think that was a good thing, and that also engaged the parents of that school to address their concerns.
Sure, absolutely. And I just want to finally say, anytime that you all want to reach out to me and have a community meeting, I'm open for that. I really want to hear from you, because I do value your opinion. And so, please, just contact me. You can get a hold of me here at the district. I'll be more than happy to have that open discussion with you.
We'll make sure the board gets a copy of the packet too before you leave tonight, so you can read through that as well. Thank you.